Welcome back. Our mission, as always, is to pull out the absolute best, the most powerful, life-changing ideas. We want to give you that shortcut to being really well-informed and, maybe more importantly, effective in your own life.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are tearing into something that has just exploded globally. It's the let them theory.
That's right. We're really going deep on the core principles, the psychology behind the book, the let them theory, a life-changing tool that millions of people can't stop talking about. And look, it's more than just a catchy phrase, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
It's a whole framework. It's designed to help you stop trying to control what is fundamentally uncontrollable. We're talking other people's actions, their feelings, their expectations. The goal is to reclaim all that mental energy for yourself.
Okay, let's really unpack this properly. We kind of have to start at the beginning, right? Where this whole idea came from. Because it wasn't born out of some great success story. It came out of a real crisis.
A deep crisis.
We're talking the author hitting 41 and just completely overwhelmed. $800,000 in debt, unemployed. Her husband's business was falling apart. Just constant crippling anxiety.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm, really.
Yeah.
Financial disaster meeting psychological paralysis. And the book details these classic avoidance strategies that I think we all recognize on some level.
Oh, yeah.
Hitting snooze again and again just to avoid facing the day. Maybe using alcohol to numb things out. Blaming her husband unfairly for the debt, and just procrastinating endlessly on the really important stuff, like finding a job or even just opening the mail.
This sounds exhausting, just thinking about it.
Every single decision felt huge, like this insurmountable mountain.
And this is where that first kind of light bulb moment happened, wasn't it? The thing that sort of set the stage for the let them theory down the line. She had this realization. It wasn't that she didn't know what she needed to do. She knew she had to get up, face the bills, look for work.
Right, the knowledge was there.
But the thinking about it was paralyzing her. And then came this incredibly powerful thought, wait a minute, I can feel absolutely horrible and still do what I need to do. That separation, feeling versus action.
That is such a profound insight. And it directly led to the birth of the now famous 5-second rule, which is simple, almost deceptively simple.
Right.
But it's grounded in some pretty solid neuroscience. The idea is basically this. The moment you have an impulse, an instinct to act on a goal or just do something necessary, you've got about 5 seconds.
Just 5 seconds?
5 seconds to physically move before your brain's fear response, that hesitation circuit, kicks in and talks you out of it.
That hesitation loop, it's the killer of so many good intentions, isn't it? You get the idea, the urge, maybe just the should, and then that little voice starts whispering doubt.
Precisely. And the mechanism of the rule, counting backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then physically moving, it's designed specifically to interrupt that preemptive fear. Our brains, they're wired for survival, for efficiency. They prefer what's known, even if it's procrastination or comfort.
Yeah, the familiar misery.
Exactly. Over the unknown, which could be starting that project, having that tough conversation. So by forcing physical movement with that countdown, you're essentially bypassing the limbic system where the fear and hesitation live, and you're engaging the prefrontal cortex.
The thinking brain, action part.
The part responsible for intentional action, for planning.
And the results were pretty staggering. This wasn't just some personal life hack that helped her dig out of debt, which it did. The 5-second rule is now widely used in clinical settings.
It really is. Therapists, psychologists use it for all sorts of things. Managing PTSD triggers, breaking cycles in OCD, dealing with depression, even in suicide prevention work.
Yeah.
Because it forces that shift, doesn't it? From just thinking and worrying, that rumination, to active forward movement, even a tiny movement.
And the way it went global is just wild. The origin story is almost unbelievable. She was booked for her first big paid speech, a TEDx event, walks out on stage, sees 700 people looking at her, and just freezes.
Total freeze.
Had a full-blown 21-minute anxiety attack right there. Couldn't remember the end of her own speech.
Can you imagine the pressure?
Absolute nightmare scenario. And apparently, in just sheer panic, needing something to say, the only thing she could blurt out was the countdown, the 5-second rule itself.
Wow.
And that moment, that total public vulnerability, that massive screw-up, basically, that's what launched the whole thing worldwide. The video went viral, became one of the most watched TEDx talks ever.
It just shows, doesn't it? That struggle against our own internal paralysis, it's universal. And that action, even small, consistent action, it really does break inertia.
Okay, so we've established the 5-second rule. It's like the ultimate weapon for winning that internal battle, right? Procrastination, self-doubt, getting yourself moving. That only gets you so far. Where does the let them theory come into play?
That's exactly the transition the author made. She realized, okay, I'm winning the war inside my own head now. I'm getting up, I'm doing the things. but I'm still losing the external war, the battle against the world outside.
Ah, okay.
Winning against your snooze button, it doesn't stop your boss from micromanaging you. It
Ah.
doesn't magically clear up traffic jams. It doesn't stop family members from judging your choices.
Yeah, the world keeps happening.
Exactly. And the more disciplined she got internally, the more intensely frustrated she became with everything and everyone else that just wouldn't cooperate with her new ordered life. It's like, come on, people, get with the program.
I can see that frustration must have been huge, and that led her to pinpoint the real core problem. She realized the main obstacle, the biggest energy drain, wasn't her own personal failure anymore. It wasn't lack of effort. It was the absolutely enormous amount of time, energy, and just sheer mental bandwidth she was wasting trying to manage or predict or just worry about other people.
Bingo. Their opinions, their actions, their feelings, their expectations of her, all of it.
It's exhausting just listing it.
It is. And it feeds into what the book calls the illusion of peace. This belief that, okay, if I could just manage everyone around me, if my partner's happy and my boss respects me and my friends think I'm great and my parents approve, then finally I'll get to feel peaceful inside.
The external validation track.
Precisely. And the theory just rips that apart. It says, look, that's not only exhausting, it's completely futile.
Yeah,
Because you fundamentally cannot control another person's internal state.
you just can't. And that brings us right to the definition. If the 5-second rule is about, say, self-initiation, then the let them theory is about self-liberation.
That's a great way to put it.
It boils down to those two incredibly simple but oh so powerful words, let them. It's presented as this tool for freedom. Freedom from the drama, the judgment, the endless quest to manage everyone else's reactions. It shifts your focus squarely back onto your own life, your goals, your dreams, your happiness.
And the moment she really got this, the discovery moment, hinges on that now legendary high school prom story, which is just the perfect encapsulation of a parent desperately trying to control the situation to achieve a specific perfect outcome.
Oh, I love this story. It's so vivid, so relatable if you're a parent, or even if you've just been around controlling people. Her son, Oakley, is going through the usual last-minute prom chaos, right?
Yeah.
Tux fitting, finding these specific sneakers he had to have, scrambling for a date.
Typical teenage stuff.
Exactly. And the author, bless her heart, is trying to create this perfect Hallmark movie memory of her son's big night. So she insists on bringing this corsage that she personally made.
Even though Oakley explicitly asked her not to bring it, he literally said, Mom, please, I don't want you to bring it.
Oof. Boundary ignored.
Completely. She kept it hidden in her purse. Then during the pre-prom photos, pulls it out and basically forces the issue, makes his date wear it, even though the poor girl already had a corsage. And the author, looking back, realizes, wow, I wasn't celebrating my son there. I was trying to execute my perfect vision of what a good mom does at prom.
And then it just spirals, right? Because life doesn't follow the script. It starts pouring rain on these 20 kids all dressed up in black tie.
Total downpour.
And then the ultimate kicker for the controlling parent. The kids ditch the fancy, carefully planned dinner reservation and decide, en masse, to pile into Amigos Taqueria.
A tiny little taco bar, like 4 tables, maybe the size of a storage unit. You can just imagine the horror on the faces of the other micromanaging parents, frantically trying to call for backup reservations or order pizzas.
Oh, the chaos. And the author is caught right in the middle of that classic stress cycle, irritation, judgment, that frantic urge to fix it, fix the external situation. She's spiraling about the wet tuxedos, how inappropriate the taco bar is, the ruined corsage.
That tension is just building and building. Until her daughter, Kendall, wisely pulls her aside and delivers the line. The phrase that basically became the entire book title. She just says, Mom, if Oakley and his friends want to go to a taco bar for pre-prom, let them.
Let them. And the effect, as she describes it, was instantaneous, like physical. The moment she heard those words, she felt the tension just release from her body.
Right.
The stress of needing to control the food, the rain, the kids' attitudes, the right way to do prom, it just evaporated. She realized, okay, this situation, the chaos, maybe even potential disappointment, that's their burden to carry, not hers.
So she just gave Oakley $40, told him to have fun, and walked away, completely unbothered.
That is the core shift, isn't it? Realizing that the effort to manage reality, to resist what is actually the primary source of your own internal suffering.
Exactly. Once you accept that reality is often messy and people are going to do what people are going to do, you're freed up. So much energy is freed up.
But it's not just about passively giving up, right?
Absolutely crucial point. And this is what separates the theory from just becoming apathy or indifference. Just saying let them on its own is only half the equation. It can feel like abandoning ship or maybe even justifying bad behavior.
Okay.
The real power, the transformation, only clicks when you add the second half. Let them plus let me.
The complete formula. That distinction feels critical. So let them is the conscious release, deciding, okay, I'm not going to let this person's behavior or their opinion or their choices dictate my emotional state or what I do next.
It's releasing that burden of control you were never meant to carry, but let me.
Yeah.
That's the active part. That's the empowering step. It's about radical responsibility for what you do next, your attitude, your behavior, your values, your needs, your desires.
Okay, example time. Because this sounds good, but how does it work in practice? The book uses that feeling left out scenario, which is, so common, especially with social media everywhere.
Yes, the dreaded FOMO trigger. The author describes scrolling Instagram, seeing photos of friends having this amazing, epic girls' weekend, and instantly spiraling.
Been there.
Right. The immediate gut punch is that mix of rejection, insecurity, maybe even going into full-on stalker mode, obsessively analyzing, why wasn't I invited? What did I do wrong? Do they not like me anymore?
And the knee-jerk reaction in that moment is almost always to try and fix the external feeling, isn't it? To text someone, fish for information, maybe post something passive-aggressive, anything to soothe that anxiety.
But the theory interrupts that cycle. The let them response is first accepting the reality. Okay, let them go on the trip. Let them have fun without me. Their choice probably wasn't some big personal statement about my worth.
That already feels lighter, just saying it. It stops you from having to somehow control their perception of you.
Exactly. But the real power comes with the let me step. Instead of staying stuck scrolling and fuming, she forces herself to look inward, to take responsibility.
How?
She acknowledges her own part in it. Actually, she realizes, I've been crazy busy with work lately. I've canceled plans on them. I haven't really invested in these friendships recently. The key insight becomes crystal clear. No one owes me an invite. My social life, my connections, feeling included, that's my responsibility.
Yeah.
And maybe I haven't been doing the work required.
Wow. Okay. That completely flips it. It transforms that victim spiral of why me into a clear, actionable, okay, what do I need to do differently?
It's taking back the power. Now let's connect this urge we have, this deep-seated need to control others, back to the science. Because the book makes a really strong case that this constant effort to manage the external world isn't just frustrating, it's physically damaging. The urge to control often stems from a really primal fear, doesn't it? Fear of being excluded, fear of rejection, fear that things will fall apart if we don't keep a tight grip.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we need to bring in Dr. Aditi Nurkar's research on stress here, which the book highlights. She clarifies something crucial. Stress isn't just a vague feeling. It's a measurable physiological state that actively hijacks your brain function.
Hijacks.
How? Okay, so under normal, calm conditions, your prefrontal cortex, that sophisticated, evolved part of your brain, is in the driver's seat. It handles logic, long-term planning, patience, complex decisions. Basically, your higher-level thinking.
Got it. The CEO of the brain.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the instant you perceive a threat, and this could be anything from a genuinely dangerous situation to just a looming deadline or your boss ignoring your email or someone cutting you off in traffic.
Right, the daily stuff.
Exactly. The amygdala, this tiny almond-shaped structure deep in the primitive part of your brain, it takes over instantly. It's responsible for the fight, flight, or freeze survival response. And it's an involuntary chemical takeover. Your rational brain gets sidelined.
Okay, that sounds not good.
And here's the really scary part the book emphasizes. Current research suggests a huge number of us, maybe 7 out of 10 people, are living in a state of chronic low-grade stress.
7 out of 10. Wow.
Which means their brains are effectively neurologically locked in survival mode much of the time. And if your brain is constantly operating from the amygdala's perspective, just focus on immediate threats and survival things like pursuing long-term goals, being patient with a difficult kid, making sound financial plans. They become neurologically much harder.
Because the system is just trying to react and survive, not plan and thrive.
Precisely. And that's the direct link back to the theory. If you allow these uncontrollable external things, the traffic, the annoying coworker, the news cycle, to constantly trigger that amygdala hijack, you are actively sacrificing your prefrontal cortex function. You're making it harder to achieve your own goals because your brain is busy fighting phantom tigers.
Wow. Okay, that puts a fine point on it.
The airport test case from the book is such a great everyday example of this playing out. The author's on a plane, about to give a big speech, and the passenger right behind her is just coughing, open-mouthed, relentlessly.
Oh, the nightmare passenger. We've all been there.
Right. And instantly, the fear kicks in. I'm going to get sick. I'll lose my voice before the event. Amygdala hijack. Engaged.
And she describes that spiral, right? First irritation, then fear, then these totally ineffective attempts to control the situation.
Yep. Passive-aggressive glaring.
Doesn't work.
Never works. A polite request to please cover his mouth, which is completely ignored. She realized she was burning precious mental energy trying to change something she couldn't. The guy was going to cough.
So the power move.
Applying the full equation. Step 1, let him cough. His germs, his bad manners, that's his issue, not mine to manage. Step 2, the crucial part. Let me focus on what I can control.
Okay, what could she control?
She covered her own nose and mouth with her scarf. She put on her noise-canceling headphones. She turned her attention back to her work, the speech prep.
And the result.
The moment she stopped resisting the reality of the coughing guy, the stress just dissipated. The external chaos stopped dictating her internal state, her mood, her focus, her energy. Protecting that internal peace, shielding your prefrontal cortex from that constant amygdala hijack, that's the real reward here.
That makes so much sense. So, building on that idea of stress and control, the book really hammers home that maybe the biggest, most insidious roadblock for most of us is the fear of what other people think.
Oh, absolutely. It argues this fear is like the primary engine driving so much dysfunction. Procrastination, self-doubt, crippling perfectionism, chronic overthinking. It essentially turns people into prisoners of other people's opinions, whether those opinions are real or just imagined.
And we see this play out in the author's own story again, right? Trying to build her speaking career. She knew the formula. Build a website, get testimonials, use social media to market yourself.
The practical steps were clear.
But she stalled on the social media part for 2 full years.
2 years. And why? Purely because she was terrified of what old friends and family, people who only knew her personal messy life, would think.
That inner critic just screaming.
Exactly. Voices like, who does she think she is now? Trying to be some expert. She's crying too hard. What a phony. She talks about writing hundreds of draft posts for social media and then deleting them if they didn't get enough likes or positive comments almost immediately.
Wow. She was basically giving the potential negative thoughts of people who barely factored into her daily life, like old high school acquaintances, more power than her actual need to earn a living and pursue her goals.
It's a stark example.
Yeah.
And the core lesson there is confronting that fear directly.
Yep.
Okay, let them judge. Let them think whatever they want to think. Let me live my life in a way that feels authentic, aligns with my values, and frankly, makes me proud.
Easier said than done sometimes, especially when the opinions come from closer to home, like family.
Ah, yes, family. That's a whole different level of challenge, isn't it? The book points out that family often feels more entitled to weigh in, partly because they see themselves as an interconnected system. They feel they have a stake in your happiness, your choices.
Which can make their judgment feel much heavier.
Exactly. And this is where the book introduces a really helpful concept from Lisa Bilyeu. The idea of understanding someone's frame of reference.
Frame of reference. Okay, what does that mean?
It's about stepping back from the immediate emotional sting of their judgment and trying to understand where it's coming from based on their life experiences, their history, their own fears.
Okay, like empathy, but more analytical.
Kind of. The author uses the example of her own mother's intense resistance to her marrying her husband, Chris, who was from the East Coast. At the time, it just felt like harsh, unfair judgment, like her mom didn't approve of him or her choice.
Which would hurt.
Deeply. But applying the frame of reference concept, she eventually realized her mother wasn't just reacting to Chris. Her mother was projecting her own life story onto the situation.
How so?
Her mother had moved very far away from her own family when she was just 17 to start her adult life. She'd raised her kids largely without that close family support system nearby, and she carried the pain of that isolation, that loneliness.
So her resistance wasn't really about her daughter's fiancé.
It was rooted in her own grief, her own fear that her daughter would repeat that same pattern of moving away and feeling isolated. The resistance was a projection of the mother's past pain, not necessarily a logical assessment of her daughter's future partner.
Understanding that must have been incredibly freeing.
Huge liberation, because it allows you to see the opinion comes from their frame, their story, not necessarily from a place of malice or accurate judgment about you. And the resolution then becomes applying the theory. Okay, let them have their grief, their fears, their opinion. They're entitled to feel how they feel based on their life. Let me choose my own path, make my own decisions, and show up in the relationship based on my values without carrying the weight of managing my mother's anxiety about it.
That's powerful. The theory also gives us some really practical tools for navigating those really tricky interpersonal dynamics, especially what the book calls adult childlike behavior.
This is based on the perhaps uncomfortable realization that emotional maturity isn't automatic. It's a skill set, and frankly, most adults haven't fully developed it. The author mentions a therapist using this vivid metaphor, the 8-year-old in a big body.
Huh. I think we all know a few of those.
Don't we? Think about how young kids react when they're upset or don't get their way. They might sulk, shut down completely, throw a tantrum, refuse to talk.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Adults often display the exact same underlying immaturity, just maybe through slightly different tactics. Things like weaponizing incompetence, I just don't know how, or chronic passive aggression, maybe escalating minor issues into huge dramas, and the absolute classic example the book uses.
Let me guess. The silent treatment.
Bingo. The silent treatment is described as this incredibly manipulative, immature adult tactic. It's not about needing space. It's usually about gaining attention and forcing the other person to fix the silent person's emotions.
Making you do the emotional labor.
Precisely. The person giving the silent treatment wants you to chase them, to coax them, to ask, "Are you okay? What did I do wrong? Please talk to me." It allows them to avoid actually processing their own sadness or anger or disappointment. They're trying to control your reaction to make themselves feel better.
So when faced with that kind of behavior, what's the mature response according to the theory?
You apply the full let them plus let me equation with, as the book says, ruthless maturity. Step 1, let them go silent. Let them pout, give you the cold shoulder, send those angry, vague texts. Recognize that behavior for what it is. Their immaturity on display, often a desperate plea for control or attention.
Okay, resist the urge to fix it for them.
Exactly. That's the let me part. Let me be the mature adult in this interaction. Refuse to get drawn into managing their emotional spiral. You state your truth calmly and clearly if needed. I see you're upset. I'm here when you want to talk about it respectfully. And then you step back. You give them the space to own their feelings while protecting your own peace. Their emotional regulation is their job, not yours.
Right. You don't internalize their tantrum.
You refuse to solve it or internalize it.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to perhaps the highest stakes use of this theory. Making those truly difficult life decisions. The ones where your head knows what's right, but your heart, or maybe your fear of the fallout, feels like it's screaming no.
Yes, those moments where the intellectually correct choice feels emotionally catastrophic because of how it will impact others.
The book shares a really tough example, doesn't it? The fiancé who wrote in just filled with dread about his upcoming wedding.
Heartbreaking. He knew intellectually, deep down, he couldn't marry his fiancée, but he was completely paralyzed. Paralyzed by the thought of the deposits already paid, the expectations of both families, and just the sheer gut-wrenching terror of breaking her heart.
That's such a common trap. So many people choose to inflict ongoing pain on themselves by staying in the wrong job, the wrong town, the wrong relationship, purely to avoid causing immediate acute pain to someone else.
It feels like the path of least resistance in the moment. But the theory demands something harder. It demands that you consciously separate yourself and your necessary decision from the anticipated emotional reactions of the people around you. You cannot let guilt or fear of their sadness or anger drive life-altering choices.
So how do you actually do that? It sounds incredibly difficult.
It is difficult. The book offers a powerful metaphor, learning to ride emotional waves. When you make a really tough call, like ending an engagement, that initial wave of guilt, fear, maybe even shame, it's going to hit you like a tsunami.
Yeah, overwhelming.
It will feel overwhelming. It will absolutely suck. But the practice is to remind yourself consciously, this is a wave. It feels huge right now, but I will not drown in it. It will eventually pass.
So acceptance of the temporary pain.
Yes. You have to accept the reality. Let them grieve. Let them be angry. Let them be disappointed. They have every right to their emotional reaction to your decision. And then you absolutely must use the let me part. Let me be brave enough to follow through, trusting that this short-term, intense difficulty is necessary for long-term alignment with your truth, your values. As the book warns, choosing what feels easier now almost always makes things much harder later.
That really resonates. Let's also tackle that other huge energy drain, the toxic habit of comparison.
Oh, yes. Comparison. We get so stuck focusing obsessively on how unfair life seems, right?
Yeah.
Why does that person have it so easy? Why did they get the luck? It just leads straight to paralysis, self-criticism, bitterness, wasted energy.
So how does let them help here?
It starts by helping you clearly categorize things. The book insists you make a sharp distinction between fixed factors in life and changeable factors.
Okay, that's the difference.
Fixed factors are things you genuinely cannot change. Your height, maybe pure random luck, like winning the lottery, the family you were born into, someone else inheriting a fortune. These things are outside your control.
Right?
And the power move with fixed factors is simple, though not always easy. Let them have it. Let them have their height, their luck, their inherited resources. Obsessing over these unchangeable things is just a form of self-torture. It's arguing with reality, and reality always wins.
Okay, so release the things you can't change. But what about the changeable factors?
This is where comparison can actually be flipped, transformed from a poison into a powerful teacher. Changeable factors are things like career success built through effort, achieving health and fitness goals, building financial freedom through specific actions.
Things people worked for.
Exactly. And when you see someone achieve something great in a changeable area that you also desire, their success isn't your loss. It's not taking anything away from you. Instead, the book argues their success provides you with the formula.
The formula, interesting.
Yeah, it shows you the path, the steps, the work required. The Molly example in the book illustrates this perfectly. Molly is this talented interior designer, right? And she finds herself spiraling into intense anger and bitterness because this neighboring designer, someone she finds irritating, frankly, suddenly blows up, achieves massive success.
Okay.
And how did this neighbor do it? By mastering social media marketing, posting consistently, building an online presence. The very tool that Molly, the talented one, had been actively avoiding, thinking it was somehow beneath her real creative work.
Ah, the plot thickens. So Molly's focused on the injustice.
Totally. Her inner monologue is all, this woman's annoying, she's going to steal my clients, she doesn't deserve this sudden luck. But the breakthrough comes when she applies the theory. She realizes the intense anger isn't really at the neighbor.
It's at herself.
It's self-directed anger. Anger for avoiding the necessary, maybe boring, but clearly effective work, the formula that leads to success in her field today.
Wow, that's a tough pill to swallow, but powerful.
So the application becomes multi-layered, okay? Let them irritate you, fine. Let them succeed using methods you haven't tried. But instead of letting that irritation or jealousy paralyze you or make you bitter, use it as fuel. Let me look at the data. Let me understand the formula this person used, consistent social media, creating content. And let me commit to putting in the reps, that consistent, maybe unglamorous daily work required to achieve a similar result.
So comparison, used strategically, actually becomes motivation. Look at what worked for them, figure out the steps, and then let me do the work.
Exactly. It shifts from victimhood to agency.
That concept, observing what works and then acting, leads us really nicely into the more advanced technique the book offers for actually influencing loved ones, the ABC loop.
Yes, this is for those situations where you genuinely want to help someone change maybe a partner's health habits, a friend's negative attitude. Nagging doesn't work.
The key insight here, based on research by Dr. Tully Sherrill mentioned in the book, is that pressure, threats, warnings, they usually backfire.
They really do. The brain literally starts to tune out threats and pain signals when they become chronic, because humans are fundamentally wired to move toward pleasure and away from pain. Nagging feels like pain, so people resist or avoid it.
So if pressure doesn't work, what does work for influence?
The key is modeling the desired behavior yourself, and critically, making it look reasonably easy, maybe even pleasurable. This taps into the principle of social contagion. We naturally tend to mimic the behaviors we see around us, especially if they look appealing.
Okay, model a change. But the ABC loop provides a more structured approach, right? It even uses tools from things like motivational interviewing.
It does. It's a very practical sequence. But before you even start the loop with the other person, there's a crucial pre-step you need to do for yourself.
What's that?
Use the 5 whys method to understand your own root frustration first. Why are you really bothered by their behavior?
Okay, give me an example. Let's say I'm frustrated my partner never helps with chores.
Okay, first, why? Why am I frustrated? Because they don't help. Second, why? Why does it matter they don't help? Because I end up doing everything. Third, why? Why does doing everything bother me? Because I feel unsupported. Fourth, why? Why does feeling unsupported matter? Because their actions aren't matching my value of partnership and teamwork. Fifth, why? Why is partnership important? Because it makes me feel secure and valued. See?
Okay. So it gets you down to the core value that's being violated, not just the surface complaint about dirty dishes.
Exactly. It anchors your frustration in your values, not just in blaming their perceived failure. Once you have that clarity, then you can approach them using the ABC loop.
Okay, lay it out. Step A.
Step A is apologize and ask. You start by genuinely apologizing for any past pressure or nagging. hey, I realize I've been on your case about X and I'm sorry about that. This immediately disarms them.
Lowers the defenses.
Right. Then you use open-ended, non-judgmental questions, drawing from motivational interviewing. Not, why don't you ever exercise, but something like, how are you feeling about your energy levels lately? Or how are you feeling about how we're sharing the load around the house right now?
Okay, softer questions. What's the goal here?
The goal is to gently create some internal tension within them. You're not lecturing. You're prompting them to articulate any disconnect between where they are and where they might want to be. You're handing the problem back to them to think about without attacking them.
Got it. Okay, step B.
Step B is back off and behavior. This is critical. After that initial conversation, you absolutely must back off. Stop the nagging, stop the pressure, give them space, let them marinate in whatever internal tension step A created.
And the behavior part.
While you're backing off from pressuring them, you double down on modeling the desired behavior yourself. If it's about health, you focus intensely on your own workouts, your healthy eating, making it look appealing and manageable. If it's chores, you handle your share cheerfully without martyrdom. You become the living example of the change you want to see.
Okay, back off nagging, amp up modeling. What's step C?
Step C is celebrate and change. This is about positive reinforcement. You genuinely acknowledge and celebrate any small step they take in the right direction. If they finally put one dish in the dishwasher, you notice and appreciate it without sarcasm. Hey, thanks for grabbing that dish. I really appreciate it.
Catch them doing something right.
And you continue modeling the positive change yourself. The book stresses this isn't a quick fix. You need to commit to this ABC cycle. Apologize, ask, back off behavior, celebrate change consistently for at least 6 months. Real, internally motivated change takes time to root.
6 months. That requires patience. Now let's take this framework and apply it to maybe the toughest area. Relationships, dating, and knowing when to walk away. Deal breakers.
Right. The core truth the theory forces us to confront in love and dating is stark. A person's behavior tells you the absolute truth about how they feel about you and what they're capable of offering, far more reliably than their words ever will.
So actions speak louder than words, basically.
Fundamentally, if someone texts you constantly with surface chat, but never ever makes a concrete plan to see you, their behavior is telling you they're not interested in a real relationship, regardless of the flirty texts.
Yeah.
If someone sends wildly mixed signals, hot one day, cold the next, their behavior is telling you they are ambivalent or unavailable for commitment.
Okay. So how does let them apply here? It sounds harsh.
It requires brutal honesty with yourself. Let them not text you back promptly. Let them send those confusing mixed signals. Let them disappear for days and then reappear. Let them show you exactly who they are through their actions.
And the let me part is?
The powerful pivot. Let me see their behavior clearly without making excuses for them. Let me accept the truth their actions are revealing right now. I am not a priority to them in the way I need, or they are not capable of the consistency I desire. The goal is to stop wasting your time and emotional energy chasing people whose actions clearly show they aren't aligned with your relationship goals or values.
Stop chasing ghosts or potential.
See what is. And the ABC loop actually has a crucial extension for relationships, becoming the ABCDE loop.
Okay, what are D and?
So you've diligently applied steps A, B, and C for, say, 6 months. You've apologized for past pressure, asked open-ended questions, backed off nagging, consistently modeled the desired behavior, like clear communication or effort, and celebrated any tiny progress. The core issue, the behavior that really bothers you, hasn't fundamentally changed.
Right, no real movement.
Now you move to step D. Decide if this is a deal breaker. This requires radical self-honesty. You have to ask yourself, could I be happy, truly fulfilled, married to, or partnered with this person for the rest of my life if this specific thing never, ever changes?
Wow, that's a confronting question.
It has to be. Because if the answer is no, I absolutely could not be happy long-term if this never changes, then that behavior is a deal breaker for you.
And that leads to step E.
Step E is the final stark choice. End your bitching or end the relationship.
Whoa. Yeah, break that down.
If you honestly decide you can live with the flaw, maybe you decide their chronic messiness or their poor time management isn't actually a deal breaker compared to their good qualities, then you must make a conscious choice to fully accept them exactly as they are and stop complaining about it. You end your bitching because you've accepted reality.
You choose acceptance.
You choose acceptance. But if the answer to the deal breaker question was, no, I can't live with this long term, and they haven't changed after your consistent ABC efforts, then their continued behavior is their answer. They are showing you they are unwilling or unable to change in the way you need. And step E means you must accept that reality and end the relationship.
And the relationship, that requires facing heartbreak.
Yes. And the book offers important context here. Heartbreak isn't just being sad. It's described as a genuine neurological and physiological process. It's literally your nervous system unlearning its conditioning to that person's presence. It can feel like chemical withdrawal.
That explains why it feels so physical sometimes.
It is physical, which is why the advice for navigating it is quite clinical and direct. The book strongly recommends a strict 30 days of absolutely no contact.
30 days. Why so strict?
It's essential to give your nervous system a chance to recalibrate without constantly re-triggering those old neural pathways associated with the person. No texting, no calling, no social media stalking. You have to remove all the environmental triggers to hide the photos, put away the gifts.
Create a clean break, neurologically.
Yes. And crucially, during that time, you don't just sit around feeling miserable. You must proactively fill your calendar. Start a new personal challenge, reconnect with friends, dive into a project. You take all that immense energy that was previously consumed by the relationship drama and redirect it forcefully into creating a life that makes you feel good, capable, and proud.
So you're using the let me again. Let me enforce the boundaries needed for healing. Let me focus on my own needs and growth. Let me choose myself.
Precisely. You actively build your way out of the pain.
Okay, bringing this all together. This deep dive really shows that the let them theory, at its core, it's this radical act of self-empowerment, isn't it? But it's rooted in an equally radical acceptance of reality.
That's a perfect summary. The real cost of not using this theory, of ignoring it, isn't just the daily frustration. It's the cumulative waste, the wasted time, the wasted energy, the precious life force spent resisting what is, trying to steer external forces, other people, circumstances that were never actually yours to control.
And when you finally stop letting all that external chaos, whether it's some political commentary that winds you up or a friend's perceived snub or a difficult relative's antics, when you stop letting that hijack your brain and your emotions.
You realize, maybe for the first time, that you are the one who is absolutely in charge, not of them, but of your response. You get to decide if someone else's success makes you jealous and paralyzed, or if it inspires you to learn their formula. You decide if a loved one's annoying habit ruins your entire evening, or if you protect your own peace and focus elsewhere.
It sounds like liberation. True liberation from needing external validation or for the world to behave exactly as you wish it would.
It is. The realization that other people can think, say, and do whatever they want, and you can remain fundamentally unbothered, centered, focused on your own path, that's perhaps the deepest form of confidence and peace there is.
Now, the book isn't promising some magic wand for an instantly easy, pain-free life, is it?
Not at all. Life will still have challenges, people will still be difficult, things won't always go your way. But it does promise that the moment you start consistently reclaiming your power through let them and channeling that energy into let me, the goals you truly desire, the fulfilling career, the healthy relationships, the inner happiness, they finally move into the realm of things you can actually influence, the zone of your control.
It really feels like a clear invitation then, a call to welcome your own personal let me era.
I love that.
Right, let me take that risk I've been avoiding. Let me finally be honest about what I really want. Let me just get started on that thing. Let me focus on creating a life that makes me genuinely deeply proud.
And maybe here's a final thought, something really potent for you listening to carry forward from this deep dive. Imagine if you could actually quantify all the energy, all the time, all the mental cycles you currently spend resisting reality.
Ooh, scary thought.
Right. Wishing things move faster, wishing certain people would like you more, wishing your boss would finally see your value, getting upset about things you can't change. Now, imagine taking every single ounce of that wasted energy and consciously redirecting it, starting today, towards something that truly matters to you. Your health, your passion project, your key relationships, your financial freedom. Where could you realistically be 6 months from now?
That's a game changer perspective. The external world is going to keep doing its thing regardless.
It will. But you and only you get to define your internal world and your actions. The only thing genuinely stopping you from moving forward is the ingrained habit of giving your power away to things you can't control.
So remember, the only permission you ever really need is your own. And hey, if you're struggling to believe in yourself right now, let me believe in you until you can.